Hey, everybody, I'm Matt,
I'm Deanna.
and this is Chasing Balance. So I had this childhood dream of having apple trees.
Yeah.
It was just this, I don't know, fond memory of being at an apple orchard, good times with family, picking this like amazing fruit off of a tree and just being able to eat it right there. And I always wanted an apple tree when I grew up or had, my own house. And finally, when we moved into the house that we have now, we had enough property to plant some trees.
Right.
Um, and so we went out and we got two apple trees, two pear trees, and we spent a hot July day. You were
Fully pregnant.
fully pregnant, ready to give birth to
Just
Max at
digging
that time.
holes.
Yeah. And we got them all planted in. We bought the expensive like starter fertilizer or whatever you put in there to make sure that the roots take really well. We got the mulch to put on top of it. Everything was looking great. And then the next day I get up and I'm so proud of you know what we've done or what we planted, what we purchased.
Right.
Go out there and I'm looking at all the trees, the pears, and I'm going down the line, look at the pear tree, perfect. Another apple tree, perfect. Look at the other pear tree, it looks great. And then I get to the final tree,
Your crown jewel.
my crown jewel, my favorite apple tree, which is a Macintosh. And there's this white spots and like almost like a fuzzy white, it wasn't really fuzzy, but it was like a dry white spot that was on the branches. So I immediately go into panic mode and I'm thinking, how can I, figure out what's wrong with this tree, save this tree, wash this tree, spray it with something to.
Giving it an abundance amount of love.
Exactly. That's exactly what it was. So, I run inside, get on the computer, Google it and get into this like rabbit hole of the worst case scenario possible about this tree. And Google says when you have this white type of dusty ash or whatever it is on the tree, on the branch, you need to cut the branch off to save the rest of the tree. So I was convinced that I was being responsible.
Right. Google advised you.
And by the time I got done cutting off the white spots on the tree was massacred.
Right.
I mean, this thing to this day doesn't grow correctly.
Right.
And I was pissed off. So I call the nursery and I tell them about it. And I'm like, hey, you guys have these trees. You're selling these trees with the mold on it. And the guy at the nursery, the manager, says, no, that white spots on the top of the branch is common with our trees because it's from overhead watering. So there was that gut punch of realizing of what I did.
Right. It was the equivalent of like Googling all of your health symptoms and finding out that you probably have like something very minor, or you could be dying of multiple different types of cancers.
And I thought the tree was dying.
Right.
And I was trying to, chop it off. So it's like the tree didn't need an intervention. It just needed trust in a way.
Right.
Google gave information, but not wisdom. It told me what, but not whether or not I should have done it.
Right.
The anxiety of watching something you love struggle is almost unbearable. Doing something feels better than doing nothing, even when nothing is the right answer.
Right. And like, I mean, paralleling that, I've had a lot of instances with our own kids that we've intervened
Hmm.
because we thought that it was necessary, because we didn't want them to, experience any level of pain or discomfort. We just
Hmm.
wanted to make sure that they were 100% okay, and we were there and we were able to heal any problems.
Right.
And that can even, I mean, that could go from like little simple things that they just need to learn, but we're coming in and we're just patching it so that everything runs smoothly, or even bigger things where, um, like friendships and that kind of stuff. Uh, there's been a few friendships that our kids have had, where we question whether those particular individuals are good, like a good fit for our kids, good influences, um,
Yeah, you
or
just want to, you see them in a situation or you see them with a friend and you're just like, you want to scream, you want to warn them, you want to intervene, you want to put a stop to it.
right. And a lot of the times I think that it might even be just our life experiences, us like experiencing those types of friendships and those types of issues when we were kids, and how much pain and how we had to navigate that by ourselves, and we don't want our kids to have that same level of distrust or pain or,
Disappointment.
yeah, disappointment in another human being. So we just want to warn them and we want them to stop it right away
Hmm.
without experiencing and living that, life lesson essentially. I know that in my own personal experience, I had a good collection of friends while growing up that my mom despised, loathed.
Yeah.
And I just held on to those friendships like they were the ultimate prize. And I don't know, like reflecting back on it now, I don't know if it was just because she didn't want it to be a thing and I was rebelling, and it was almost like the forbidden fruit type of thing,
Yep.
and or if I legitimately thought they were good friendships. Um, but I mean, reflecting as an adult, I can see they were terrible, and she had like every right to just want me to not have those people in my life. But now that my kids are of the age of making friends and like experiencing things, I have the same inclination of like warning them, but then also in my head, I'm like, okay, they need to experience these things. They need to understand. It'll like prep them for real life situations where they can, um, navigate past issues and make better choices in the future. But also, I don't want to see them hurt. And it's a really hard line to navigate as a parent.
Well, I think it gets harder too as they become older as well. Like, the younger kids, when they talk about, in kindergarten, preschool, first grade, and they're like, this kid did something mean to me, right?
Right.
You can obviously say, well, that doesn't sound very nice. That kid sounds, maybe you should stay away from that kid, or maybe you should tell that kid how they hurt your feelings, right?
Yeah.
Once they get to be a teenager, it's like a completely different thing. You can't just,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could use your words and say, "Hey, tell them how you feel," but that's gonna, I don't know, kind of put some kind of weird stigma on you, right?
Right.
And you can't just, and it would go through. We tell Max, I'm like, well, that kid doesn't sound very nice. Maybe you should tell him how you hurt your feelings. To where if it goes to our older kid, it's kind of like, dude, you shouldn't be hanging out with him. That kid sounds like a bully.
Right.
Leave him
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
Um,
There's this line that you walk as a parent where it's almost like you want your kid to be empathetic. You want them to realize that, okay, this person is being an asshole because, A, or one, he's either an asshole, or two, there's other stuff that's going on and he needs a minute to figure out what's going on in his head. You
Right.
want them to have that type of empathy, but then also you want them to be strong and independent and stand up for themselves, if somebody is being a flat out jerk to them. So that's a really tricky territory to walk as a parent and also as your kid trying to understand because, you go from, especially teenagers, you go from things that are very minor, like being pushed on a playground or, somebody stealing your crayons, as like
Yeah.
a kindergartner, to now having like real issues that impact your social world. And rumors could be spread, bullies could be, in your face every single day. Um, those types of situations. So I think that as parents, it gets more and more important as your kids get older to kind of take a second and ask yourself, how do you know when a friendship is genuinely dangerous or just not your preference? Or even, like, is there a version of stepping back that still keeps them safe without taking over completely and in interjecting and not allowing them to experience and make those decisions themselves?
Yeah, because it ends up being you saying to them, like, I don't think this kid's a good influence. And then your kid ends up defending them
Right.
to you. So it almost pushes them closer into that uh, friendship or situation.
Exactly.
So now to parallel this to the tree, we see things that look wrong. We try to act fast, but the intervention, most of the time, causes more damage than the original problem. Sometimes kids need to experience that white mold texture themselves
Yes.
and come back to you afterwards. Just like you said, you realized the kids that you hung out with that your mom didn't like, now that you're adult or you were grown, you realize that those aren't the right relationships to be with.
Mhm. Yes.
Our job isn't always to prevent the lesson. Sometimes it's just to be there when the lesson lands.
Yes.
Now, speaking of our job, now fighting battles at work that just aren't ours. And I'm going to try to make this to where it resonates with our listeners and not really make it a venting session
Oh, okay.
for either of our positions.
Your words have been heard.
Okay. So, in our jobs, in our careers, we see things that could be better, a process, a culture, a way of doing things. We care, we push, we bring it up in meetings, we talk to our managers, and we try to lead by example. And mostly, nothing changes. Or worse, we just get ignored or people push back on new ideas and processes. Obviously, I've been in these situations. And Deanna, I know that you are currently or have been in these
Yeah.
situations.
I'm consistently in these situations.
Yeah.
I'm not bred for certain type of work cultures.
But why does it matter so much?
I feel like, from my perspective, I like to be the best version of myself.
Mhm.
I like things to run a certain way. I like to make things make sense, and when they don't make sense, I need them to make sense. So I go above and beyond and try to make situations more structured, more organized. And that's a lot of the time when I get pushback from whomever, that I work with.
But
Um,
it's not our company.
right,
We don't own it.
right.
We don't set the direction. So why does it feel so personal when things don't change?
I think I take it personal because I feel like it's a direct reflection of me. Like if I notice it something is wrong and I don't bring light to it, then I end up feeling guilty about it if it snowballs into a bigger issue. So I like to be proactive instead of reactive essentially. And that's why I take it personal when I take the time, I look into something, I find the issue, I find a resolution and then it falls on deaf ears. It's kind of like why don't you care as much as I care? It's kind of how I feel.
Yeah, I mean, we spend more waking hours at work than almost anywhere anywhere else. And caring about your work is a good thing until it starts costing you more than it gives back.
Yes. And also I have more of like a puzzle mentality, so I get like hyper fixated on trying to figure out the puzzle. Like I want to find the answers. And I get excited when I actually find out the answer. So then, to the same point, like when it falls on deaf ears, I feel directly almost insulted because it's like, why aren't you as excited as I am
Yeah.
that I figured out something and I have a solution?
No, I think one of the big things is that like when pushing makes it worse. Like we pour so much emotional energy into changing or wanting to change a company that we work for
Right.
that doesn't want to change. It ends up coming, quote unquote, home with us.
Yep.
And it's in our attitude. It's in the way that we talk to our family, our friends after the workday is up, and we go to bed thinking about it. We go work out thinking about it. We eat dinner thinking about it. We may not be able to go to bed or go to sleep without getting, uh, anxious about it or angry about it while we fall asleep.
Right.
So, you know, comparing that once again, let's go back to my beloved apple tree. We see things that need fixing. We went in hard, and the culture, just like the branch, may have been fine on its own and it'll work itself out. Or maybe it wasn't fine, but it
Yeah.
still wasn't ours
Right.
to cut
Right.
or to
S-
trim away at.
Or to have such a drastic approach to it,
Yeah.
such an altering approach to it.
Leaving well enough alone at work isn't giving up,
Yeah.
it's protecting your own peace and just accepting the way that things are.
And I think that mentality is a very hard one to shift into.
It really
Because,
is, especially when you're a go getter, you're
yeah.
motivated, you have a creative mindset, whether it's from graphic design or ways to figure out different files to help out a company be more streamlined and successful.
So that just kind of leads us to question like, why can't we just leave things alone? Like, why can't we just leave well enough alone?
Right.
And I feel like intervening gives you a sense of control,
Hmm.
whereas stepping back feels makes you kind of feel a little helpless.
Yeah.
And when we love something like a tree or a kid or a job, or not even, spe- since I landed on job, like not even love it, but we respect it, we like it, we enjoy it.
We appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate it. Doing nothing feels irresponsible. So we want to put our best foot forward. We want to avoid issues. We want to make sure that things are running smoothly. But control is often, in essence, an illusion. The Circling back to your example, the tree was going to do just fine if we just left it alone.
It could come down to it being just all about, like you said, control or anxiety. A lot of over intervention is really just anxiety in disguise.
Right. Yeah.
We act not because action is needed, but because not taking action is so effing uncomfortable.
It is.
Googling the tree symptoms, or warning the kid, or pushing at work, it all feels productive. But sometimes it's just a way to manage our own fear and anxiety.
Yeah, and I mean, in all honesty, I think that there are some times where you should intervene. Um, Sometimes the white mold is dangerous, essentially.
Yeah. That's
Um, and sometimes friends are a bad influence that your kids have. But intervening and fixing it and addressing those small issues and wanting to have control over those small issues um, could cause more damage than good.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of wisdom to be learned in figuring out the difference between those two, when you should intervene and when you should kind of just like sit back. So, I mean, with that being said, let's kind of go full circle. How is the Macintosh tree doing now, Matthew?
So, I mean, there's new growth.
Mhm.
It doesn't look pretty. There's times I look out the window and, like, I just need to do more. I need to, water it more. I need to do this. I need to do that. Um,
But I mean, okay, hold on. Sidebar. With that being said, after the direct assault
yeah.
of cutting off the branches,
Mhm.
it started to thrive.
Mhm.
And then a deer came and started to eat it after
Yeah.
that. So there was multiple things that we kind of had to overcome.
I thought about this a lot, leave well enough alone. Why can't we leave well enough alone? And I think about it, every time that I look out and I see that tree
Yeah.
next to these flourishing pear trees and apple trees, but it is still growing. Um, it still has its ups and its downs. I don't spray chemicals on it, things of that nature, which could act, which I think that could possibly make it better, but knowingly it'll probably make it worse. The goal, whether it's the tree, the kids, the job, whatever it is, the goal isn't to stop caring.
Right. Yeah,
It's just to get better at knowing when your caring helps and when it hurts.
exactly.
Leaving well enough alone isn't passive. It's actually one of the hardest, most intentional things that we can do. So, a little bit of call to action. You, as a listener, which we greatly appreciate you listening,
Yes.
what's something in your life that you've had to learn to leave alone? We want to hear it. Let us know, comment, text us, um, let us know in our comment section or on our social media. Uh, we greatly appreciate you listening. And maybe there's just something that you can take from today's episode, and that is learn to try to step back, leave well enough alone, and see how things play out.